I've not tanned my butthole actually before. I have sunned my balls though. Like I was in Miami for like a month and a half, and I had this like really nice balcony where I would just like sit outside and the sun was like perfectly there, and I would just whip the junk out, let the sun hit it. Very chill.
Welcome to another episode of Opinionated Off-Topic. Off-Topic is a show where we talk to content creators, entrepreneurs, and business owners alike. In today's episode, we have Cooper Page.
And I think that's it's kind of similar to what red light does, because you get some similar red light rays from the sun. But that's pretty interesting. Icing your balls to increase testosterone. So you can actually do that. Icing your balls a couple different times a day. Your balls are supposed to be colder than the rest of your body, which is part of the reason your balls sit outside of your body. So you can do that.
Cooper Page is an entrepreneur and fitness coach that specializes in biohacking the body. He's created a special program that specializes in men's health, longevity, sleep, and boosting their natural testosterone levels. This is called the Helix Protocol. If you guys like this episode, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and be sure to share it with a friend. Hope you enjoy the rest of your episode. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Opinionated Off-Topic. Today I'm with Carlos Mojica, co-owner, co-founder of Opinionated Media, and we're with a very, very special guest. Met him around a year ago. I actually was like looking at your Instagram, and then you posted you like kayaking or something in Austin. And
yeah.
Like, I put the muscle emoji, and it was like May something.
Yep,
but,
May of last year.
Yeah, so almost a year ago, met him at one of Matt's reveal dinners, and me and you kind of hit it off right away. Like we talked for a while, and had good conversation there, and stayed in touch as you've been moving nomadically, and I'm sure we'll get into all of that. But we have Cooper Page on the podcast. Super excited to just talk to him about what he has going on, and he does a lot of cool things, and it's really been changing his life and impacting others. So excited to get into what he does today.
What were you in Austin for at that point?
Excited to be here. Just to visit friends, and I'd heard so many things about Austin. So many people were like, you got to move here. And I was just like, okay, like I'll check it out. So just to check it out.
How'd you meet Matt?
Matt and I grew up together. Well, not grew up together, but we knew each other in like high school. So we had like all the same group of friends, like late high school, and then just became really good friends from there.
Did you go high school here?
No, he's good friends with Matt Bundy.
Oh,
yes,
Matt Bundy.
Matt.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
But I met him at Matt Worthington's.
Gotcha. So that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Matt Worthington.
okay.
I was on your Instagram. I did see a picture with Matt Bundy.
Yeah.
Okay. Small world still.
Yeah.
Yep.
But just give us a little backstory, just where you came from and how you got doing what you're doing now.
Yeah, for sure. So originally from Seattle, Washington, and do not really fuck with Washington at all. So like by the time I was 18, 19, I was like applying to schools, went to the University of Arizona, fell in love with just sunshine and, pools and not having to wear clothes very much, girls and guys, just shirt off, bikinis, like that was just such a vibe. So I went to school out there for 4 years, got my degree, and then just kind of said like, fuck it, to kind of the normal route of like getting a job. And I ended up just like started doing a bunch of traveling and kind of like soul searching. And I've just been doing a bunch of different entrepreneurial things up until now.
What was that? Did you go to, what's that lake you wanted to go to, which you couldn't? I think you were supposed to, you were supposed to go, but COVID happened, right?
Lake Havasu.
Lake Havasu. Did you go there?
Yeah, I did. That was really overhyped for some reason.
Really?
I think it was like really sick for a while, and then for whatever reason it like was a total bust. And the year that I went there was like miserable, and like it was just so lame. You have to have like a really good setup where you have like a cabin on the lake and like a boat and stuff for that to like be fun. I did it the wrong way for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in those times you were doing entrepreneurship like right out of college? Because how'd you get the money to like travel and do all that like nomadically?
So basically so what happened was I graduated from college and I had a job lined up, like a regular corporate job. It was just like not a good job at all. It was like I was probably gonna make like $40,000 a year or something, and I had like procrastinated and was like, I just knew the whole time that I didn't want to have a regular job and do everything. So everyone's like stressing in college, like, yo, I gotta like apply for this job and I gotta do this. Like I'm doing interviews and people would be like, how are your interviews going? I'm just like, honestly, I'm not doing them. I haven't really set anything up, like don't really whatever. So I got this job, and then like a month before, I'd like graduated college. It was like August. I was supposed to start September. A month before, I just like emailed the lady. I was just like, nah, like I'm out. I don't want to do this. And I ended up getting connected with a guy who was like really big into like personal branding, and I saw that he was like traveling the world and doing all this stuff. And I got connected via this girl that I went to college with. And she was like, I think you guys would really hit it off. And we ended up connecting. And he was like, dude, I actually also live in Washington. Funny enough, I'm at my cabin this weekend. Why don't you come out here and like, we'll just kick it. So I went out there and like hung out with him. And he was like, dude, I'm actually building this fitness company and I want your help. Like, I need help. I need someone to help me like film and do this and that. And I was just like, dude, I'm down. And he was like, he's like, dude, I'm going to travel around. I travel full time. That was his thing. And he was like, so if you want to help me out and like be a part of this, like you can just come with me and I'll like pay for your shit.
That's nice.
That's badass.
Yeah. So I got like free travel and like free stuff. And I just got to like learn through like seeing what he was doing. And then I got to meet like his brother who was an entrepreneur and like some of their friends who were like crushing it in business. So I got exposed to this lifestyle of starting online businesses, traveling the world, and just like living a life of freedom.
That's dope, especially at such a young age, because it's like you said, right when you come out of college, most people are stressing to find a job, or like they don't know what they want to do. Like this degree is not even what I want to do, so why am I even doing this? Stuff like that. But you got blessed, and I don't know if that's something you wanted to do, but you at least found something that wasn't what you didn't want to do, and it turned out to being something that you actually love and enjoy doing. That's
totally
dope. Yeah,
I was super excited when I got that opportunity. I was like, whoa, this seems like a perfect match. Like, it's not like someone was handing me a briefcase with $1 million, but I was like, whoa, this is like definitely a step in the direction of where I want to go.
Yeah. So you wanted to do fit stuff for a while, like even while in college, did you like envision yourself doing that?
No, I was always into fitness, but I never really thought that I would make it a career. And what happened was I just wanted to do like travel stuff. Like, to be totally frank, like when I graduated college, I just saw a bunch of like photographers and videographers and travel influencers just like traveling the world, making fucking content. And I was like, that's fucking sick. I want to do that. And I just saw that these guys were doing sort of that, but also like these other businesses. Yeah. And so I was just like, yeah, let's get involved. And he just happened to also be really into fitness. And he was like, I'm starting a fitness program.
What was that program?
It was just like pretty standard, basic, like build muscle, lose fat, like 12-week online coaching fitness program.
So when you went this route and kind of were essentially like, were you like an intern essentially, or were you like a full?
Kind of, yeah. Okay. It was kind of like an unpaid internship in the beginning that I think he wanted me ultimately to just be his videographer, like someone to just like follow him around, film all the content, do some editing and stuff like that. Cause I had like messed around with cameras and like I had a little bit of knowledge there. But then it ended up turning into more because I was super business minded and like focused, and I just like wanted to help and like be involved.
Had ideas and all that type of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
When was it that you like left, like starting to do your own thing?
Yeah, it was early 2022, February of 2022. So yeah, pretty recent, because I did that from like the end of 2020 until early 2022. So basically a little bit more than a year. I was working with him and doing some travel for a lot of that. And then some of it, I was just like living at home. And then I ended up moving to Arizona. And then in early 2022, I stopped working with him. And I was like, I really want to get good at high ticket sales. And like I hadn't made a lot of money doing that. So I was like, I want to make a lot of money and I want to get good at sales. So I ended up working for an online startup that was like just crushing. And I just started doing sales, and I just like picked it up immediately and immediately started doing well.
Really? That's not an easy thing to do.
No.
Yeah, I think it's always been like kind of a skill set for me, just like being personable, talking to people. And I'm always like, I would argue with my parents endlessly growing up. So I was always like finding ways to get my way and win people to my way of thinking.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah.
While you're working with him, did you learn enough things with him and learn enough things from the online sales? So like, that's when you started doing your own thing?
Not exactly. I had learned a good amount, but also we weren't making a lot of money, and we neither of us really had like really good like tangible like business skill sets. We had like some experience, but not a lot. And so it wasn't really enough. I went in to like double down on sales because I knew that was super important. And then after doing that, I had, gone into business and tried to, ultimately I'm still getting skills, right?
Yeah.
Still in the process.
Never stop. It's nonstop.
Non-stop process, but yeah.
Okay. So when getting into sales, moving to Arizona, and then eventually you're crushing sales. When did you want to have the ability to eventually start your own thing? Because if you're, doing well in sales, you're making good money. That's not an easy thing to, step away from. So what was like that turning point for you?
Yeah. I think the turning point for me with making money and making, sales and wanting to start my own thing was basically when I was making a lot of money and I was still like sitting in my room, just kind of unfulfilled. Like just not in the classic sense of just like, oh, this like sucks or whatever. I'm just like, I could do more. I want to do more. And like I always viewed myself as an entrepreneur, someone that would have my own business, solve other people's problems, do all this cool stuff. And I was just like, I just like wanted to do my own thing. This was a great stepping stone. It was a great way to like make money, get a nice skill set. But ultimately I wanted to do more. And then at a certain point when the sales job that I was in kind of got like rocky, because sales is up and down.
Yeah.
Sometimes you work for a company and like the sales are like crushing and everything's going great. And then things change and it can like dip down or whatever. And so I was at that point and I had been constantly going to the drawing board with my roommate at the time. We were both working for the same company actually. And we kept going literally to the drawing board. We kept literally pulling out a whiteboard in our room and we were like, how can we fucking live the life that we want to live? Like what can we do? We each want, this week we talked about like how much money we want to make, how much money we want in the bank, what we want our lifestyle to look like, etc. And we just keep thinking of ideas. And ultimately we had an idea that was inspired also by like a mentor that I had that was to start this coaching company with me, my roommate, and this other guy. And so we were just like, fuck it, let's just do it. So we just quit. And then just like, we had already started working on the business when we had like gone and quit.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like quit then like, all right, now we're starting it. So at least you had like some sort of groundwork already laid out and whatnot.
Not really. No, it was like, right.
Oh, what?
We basically, we'd already like said like, let's do it and let's like start putting the ball in motion. But we burned the boat, we burned the bridge and we're like, let's just go all in.
How was that? Because that's a scary leap of faith right there.
Yeah.
But also, one of our other good friends, his name's, I don't know, what's the last name? Ryan?
Oh, Gallego?
Yeah, Ryan Gallego.
The owners of Pouch 6? He likes their studio.
Yeah. So the owners of Pouch 6, Ryan.
Oh, okay.
He was working at Amazon and he was making six figures and he was young. I think he was like 21, 22. And he that's not what he wanted to do. And he just quit, started doing his own thing. But he was like, that was probably the best decision I ever made because it made me like, it lit a fire under me and made me go make money. Because if I didn't, then I would have no money.
Not going to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was that for y'all? Because like you said, you just quit and then that was, here we are.
Luckily for me in that scenario, I had saved up a good amount of money that like allowed me to take that leap of faith with a bit of a safety net, right? So like that wasn't too difficult. Plus I felt really supported because I was with two other guys who had business experience. And so we were going to like start this together. Like that's always one of those things when you start a partnership or you go into business with someone else, it feels like there's a little bit less of a risk because you have someone else to do it with, someone else to split the expenses, someone else to mastermind with late at night when you're trying to get something to work, So, and I was actually in a building in Scottsdale, Arizona, North Scottsdale. There's this building where there's tons of marketers, internet marketers, online entrepreneurs, and just a bunch of people that are like killing it. And we all lived in that building and there's a bunch of other people around us. So I think I just felt like really supported and safe and was like, I got 3 people in this building alone that if we run into an issue, like I could just hit them up and be like, yeah, what do we do?
Yeah. And what business was that y'all started?
It was a online coaching program teaching guys how to become freelance copywriters.
Okay. Interesting.
It's like you're doing all the writing and marketing. So people that like write marketing emails, people that write ads, people that write the scripts for video sales letters, any like piece of marketing where it's just like the person that's like actually coming up with the scripts and writing the things, that would be the copywriter.
Okay, gotcha.
So teaching like guys how they can learn the skill of copywriting and then go out and like market themselves to like work for companies and become a freelancer and get clients.
So this wasn't even like fitness related really, or
not at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, and I didn't even last with that business for very long. We ended up realizing after like a month and a half that the role that I was going to do just didn't even like make sense. And both of the other guys were into marketing. And, like it was their whole thing that they were teaching. And I was like, I'm not into copywriting. Like I don't, So I
nothing with sales like even helped you with like to help them.
It did. I was gonna do the sales thing, but it just ended up just not working out. It was just like it wasn't a good fit, which is such a blessing in disguise in the moment.
And what you ended up doing after that?
At that point is when I went on kind of a soul searching journey, and I was like, okay, like what do I really want to do? Like I'm kind of chilling. I'm not gonna stress myself out. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna go broke tomorrow or next week. So let me take some time. Let me figure it out. Let me see what I can do. And I watched a really interesting video on YouTube. For anyone who's struggling to find their passion or their purpose or what they really love in life, I would highly recommend to watch a video that changed my life called Why You Can't Do the Work by Sam Ovens on YouTube. And it's basically this systematic process of like 8 different steps that you can take, where it's like, you note down all the books that you've read to completion, your YouTube search history, your Google search history. You ask like your friend, your girlfriend, your friends, like, what do I not shut up about? Like, what do I always talk about? And it's basically like getting you to figure out like, what are the things that you think about and that you're passionate about truly? Because some people don't know. And for me, I kind of knew, but I didn't really know until I like hit my search history on YouTube and like Google and all this stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, like, testosterone, hormones, like fitness, like biohacking, peptides, like all this shit kept coming out. And I was just like, oh, duh, like that's my thing. Like I know more about this than literally anything else.
So that was, I'm bad. But anyways, so you're into biohacking, you're into all these things. Like, do you think there was anything that kind of like drew you to that direction? From either playing sports growing up or just wanting to eat clean or being around like healthy eating habits or living habits? Like what kind of drove you think, to that direction?
I think initially what drove me was just pure vanity, wanting to look good, wanting to look dominant, have a great shredded physique. And then over time, it became way more about longevity. I think just falling in love with life and wanting to be like, I want to live as long as I can. I want to be able to be active. I want to be able to be fit. I want to be able to go on a hike when I'm older. I want to feel 60 when I'm 80. I want to feel 40 when I'm 60. I'm just like, how can I do that? The world's going in a way where we have so many different things that we're learning about, so many different chemicals you can use, stem cells, peptides, regenerative therapy, hormone replacement, like all this shit. It's like, dude, I could actually be a superhuman that's just like balling into old age if I do this correctly.
All the stuff you said, I understood, but biohacking, because even when he was like, "Oh yeah, he does biohacking stuff," and I was like, "What is biohacking?" So what is biohacking?
I've been actually trying to like figure out a really nice, succinct way to say this, because I don't think there's a legitimate definition. But essentially, what biohacking is it's using different technologies and modalities and methods to hack your biology. So to make different changes in your body, whether that's like making sure that you're sleeping better, whether that's figuring out how you can build more muscle, whether that's, pulling on different levers so you can increase your sex drive, so you can increase your mental energy and your focus and your mental bandwidth and like all these different things. It's like, what buttons can we press? What things can we take? What pills can we swallow? What can we do to our schedule and all these different things to just become a better, more optimized human?
Gotcha. And then what are the pros of biohacking?
Just optimal health, optimal performance, right? So, I mean, one method of kind of like biohacking, you could say, would be taking nootropic supplements or herbs. So like ingredients or different natural occurring substances that can improve the performance of your brain, improve cognition, processing speed, memory, things like that. So that you're just like better in your work, better in your life, etc.
That's crazy. So you basically just hack your body, and you just kind of figure out what works for you and what doesn't at that point?
Yeah, there's a lot of things in biohacking that are based on research and data that work for the majority of people, but there's always going to be variance between individuals. So you can't just take something that you see online and be like, oh, cool, that's going to work for me. Or if I just do this, like that'll solve all my problems. You do have to take like a personalized approach and test things out and figure out, what works for you. A lot of it is trial and error though.
Yeah. What was like the steps for you when you immediately were deciding to get into that? Like, what did you first start out with?
As far as what did I do
within biohacking, like
to improve my body?
Yeah. Like what were like some of the to improve your body firsthand? Because I'm not sure if that was the route you went, if you did that before the business and then was like, okay, this is something I really like, really enjoy for myself. Now I want to eventually mold it into a business. So like what was kind of like the beginning stages of that for you?
One of the first things I did was I realized that I had low testosterone, and I was young, I was healthy, I was going to the gym all the time, and I was like, why do I have low testosterone? Why am I struggling with this? Why do I have like lower than optimal sex drive? Why is my energy levels not dialed? Why am I so reliant on caffeine and stimulants and things to get through the day? And so I was like, damn, how do I fix this? And so I just went down this rabbit hole of like listening to all these podcasts, reading as many books as I can, listening to like all these experts in their fields and health and medicine and hormones and all this stuff. And then I just found this method of biohacking and tracking your body's data to figure out how to sleep better, how to eat better, how to supplement properly, how to do all these different things and improve my testosterone. So then I ended up getting to a place where I more than doubled it naturally without using steroids or TRT or any of that.
That's cool. When you listen to like the podcast or like read the books or whatever, do you just kind of find like the common answer and that's the way you approach it? Because I feel like in like health and wellness, there's so many different answers from so many different people, whether they're experts or not. So like, oh, I do this, this, and this is the right way. And the person like, oh, that's the wrong way. You're supposed to do this, this, and this. So do you just kind of find like the common answer from everybody? And then that's how you go and approach it?
Yeah, I think one way that you can sort of figure out one thing to try would be if you notice a pattern where, okay, this person's talking about it, and then this person's talking about it, and this person's talking about it. Or I found it in this podcast, it was also mentioned in this book, whatever. And you're like, oh, there must be something here. Like I'm seeing this in different places. And then it's like, try it for yourself. Like, oh, I saw that here. Or with supplements, a lot of times, like I'm just a total freak when it comes to just aggressively analyzing every single ingredient on the back of a pill bottle or a package at the, something I get at the grocery store or something on whatever it is, food.
Yeah.
And when you start to notice patterns, like, oh, I see that this random herb with a weird Indian name, is like on here, and is also on this one. Oh, like what is that? You just start to like recognize those things, and then you can like research them separately or test them.
So getting into biohacking, you're starting to learn about this, and you just kind of, read off ingredients and things like that. Like what are some of the most like harmful ingredients? I know like a lot of people talk about seed oils, but like, what could you go more in depth for like people that don't know what a seed oil is? And then could you also go more in depth about like just harmful ingredients that you see in like everyday use a lot?
Yeah, the seed oils that people talk about that are not good for you are the highly processed industrial seed oils where they go through this like crazy processing where they use like hexane gas and they heat it up to this crazy temperature, and they just do all this stuff that actually makes it really unhealthy, and they put it in these plastic bottles and they bleach it and all this stuff. So it's not good. It's like, canola oil, vegetable oil, sunflower oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, all those ones. So those are harmful. They're really inflammatory in our body, and chronic inflammation in your body is not good. A lot of diseases are actually caused because you have chronic inflammation in your body. Another one that's just really common and unfortunately is put in so many things because of how good it tastes is just sugar. Cane sugar, added sugar, high fructose corn syrup, dextrose. There's so many different names. That's what makes it difficult too for a lot of regular people to figure out how to navigate food and their health, is the fact that a lot of times sugar and some other harmful ingredients are hidden under, like there's probably 15 to 20 different names that sugar could be on a food label.
So when you're reading, I guess when something says 0 sugar, is there still sugar in it? It'll just be called something else, so you can't say.
If it's 0 sugar, it's 0 sugar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Random, but earlier you said you lived in Spain for a little bit.
Yeah.
Can you tell a big difference in the food over there and the food over here?
Yeah, I would say, definitely the types of food that they eat. Okay, Spain, they love their jamon, their Serrano ham, we would call it prosciutto here, but like that type of thinly sliced, high quality ham. Oh, they love it. It's crazy. When you go to Spain, you go into the grocery store and the meat section, it is way, way bigger than any meat section in any U.S. grocery store. And you see all these these pork legs, like hindquarters, just like hanging everywhere. And there's so many different types. There's like what we would see as prosciutto. Then there's like this Iberico jamon, and then there's like just so many. They love that stuff. But I actually think that a lot of food that you find in the U.S. is actually a little bit healthier.
Really?
If you were to just go to a regular grocery store in Spain, there's still a good amount of things that are in there that are like not healthy, right? They've got chips, they've got processed foods, they've got desserts with sugar and all this stuff. And if you were to go to like I think there's here in Austin, it's like Local Pastures is like a super health friendly store. Obviously any Whole Foods, you can definitely find like way high quality food than you would in like a regular like Spanish store.
So I've never been in this country, so I don't know why, but I think this way. But I've always felt like all like Europe and all of that over there, like is just healthier and eats healthier than like us in America. Because like, we get on TikTok, we just see the American food that people put together, whether it's barbecue, whether if it's I don't know, it's just some type of like meat or whatever the case is, or some pizza that people like. It's like, man, that looks amazing, but like obviously it's not good for you. So I've always just figured over there they just eat way healthier and way better, and they use sourdough bread, and we don't use sourdough bread.
Yeah, I think the main difference between the food in the U.S. and Europe is that Europe does use a lot of better like grains and things like that for their breads, and they might have like less processing in some of their dairy and other things like that make it a little bit more tolerable, a little bit healthier, but you can still find really shitty food over there for sure. I think the extremes of like just like hot dogs everywhere and Twinkies and all this crazy stuff is like a little bit less, but they still have it. Yeah. So you gotta be careful.
What are some of like the best products that you recommend that you found on your own for biohacking? And then I guess could you recommend like affordable stuff for people to use if they wanted to try this method?
Yeah, I think some of the best things you can use for biohacking would be blue light blocking glasses. Honestly, those are super clutch because at night it's not good to have blue light from phones, screens, other lights getting into your eyes because it just affects the way that we wind down and the process that we go to sleep. So there's that. Some other things that you can use. One thing I really like recently is called a grounding mat. So you see people talk about going grounding or earthing, which is like you connect part of your feet or skin to grass or dirt or whatever because of the electrons and the electrical charge that comes in through the earth can actually help to like spread apart your red blood cells and improve your blood flow and reduce inflammation. So it's a legitimate thing, and they have these mats that plug into the wall. They actually plug into like the little it's literally just has one prong. You don't even realize, but on a 3-prong like outlet over there, it's just the bottom one, and it plugs in there, and then that goes into like this wire that's connected to this rod that's in the ground, and then it just connects that same energy into the mat. And you just put the mat under you. Like I'll put it under my desk, and I just have like my bare feet on the mat. And it's just like giving me those like healing benefits for a long time throughout the day.
Wow.
How much is that mat?
I got one for like $30 on
Amazon. So it's inexpensive.
Yeah. It's pretty inexpensive.
Okay.
The more expensive stuff that you can use for biohacking and optimal health would definitely be the red light therapy machines. Those can get pretty expensive.
What is that?
Get like smaller ones. So they just emit red light. So it's like certain frequency of light that you can get from the sun that has like healing benefits and certain properties that are healthy for you for your skin. And then you just basically put it onto your face, or you put it onto certain muscle groups or your body or whatever. Actually, if you're a guy, there's anecdotal evidence that suggests that if you blast red light directly on your balls, you can increase your sex drive, erections, and ejaculatory volume.
That's crazy.
So there's not a bunch of studies that have really been able to prove that this really increases your testosterone, but a lot of people have tried it and they've done it and they've made reports that it actually does.
That's wild. I mean, we always say, but like nature's just crazy because it's the best, some of the best source of energy or
vitality.
Health in general. Because we had another guy on, I can't remember his name.
Jake Wan.
Yes.
I know Jake.
Yeah,
Jake Wan. And on that podcast, he brought up like this girl put out, I forgot what exactly she put out, but it was like something that was like from nature and then something that wasn't. And all the ants went towards like that because that was like, and that was supposed to be like the healthy option. I was like, they're telling you what we should be eating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember, do you remember exactly what
I think
it was?
I think it was butter. I think we were talking about like just butter or something like that, because like similar to seed oils, because like they're not gonna go to that. I mean, you see the like the pictures and stuff online where like the ants or insects go to this, and they like go to the real butter, but like the artificial fake stuff, they're not like going or gravitating towards that.
I actually have another point to make on
go
that
ahead.
really quick. An interesting thing about biohacking that you were asking earlier is a lot of times biohacking is just going towards what's actually natural and best for us, because in our modern world, there's so many things around us that are really harmful, whether it's certain lights at the wrong time or the fact that we're indoors all the time, all these different things. And it's basically just taking what nature has given us and bringing them inside or putting them into pieces of technology that's easier for us to use.
Okay.
So how do you feel about red meat?
I think red meat's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think people should eat it? Because people say like it well, all the sodium and it doesn't,
And
you don't,
and the heart.
yeah,
People like say a lot of heart
and you
diseases.
don't digest it well.
Yeah. I think the thing with red meat and sugar and saturated fat and all these things is that back in the like 50s, there was a lot of different studies and things that had like come out that were pointing at like saturated fat or red meat's bad or this and that. And there was a bunch of different scandals going on. And it actually had come out that there was a huge financial basically payoff from people who were involved in the sugar industry that had paid to fabricate these studies. There was all these harmful things coming out about sugar, and they basically just took all those harmful effects and then just put the blame and like fabricated it and put it onto like saturated fats and like red meat and shit like that. That's why you saw in like the 80s and the 90s and even like when we were growing up, a lot of stuff would say like reduced fat or like fat free or whatever, because people were wrongfully demonizing fat.
So when you go to the store, I guess question for both of y'all. When you go to the store and you go like see ground beef and it says like 80% lean, 3% fat.
Yeah.
So what do you still want, the more lean than the fat?
That's really going to depend mainly on your goal, your fitness goal. And the reason that I say that is because a leaner cut of meat is obviously going to have less fat. And because fat is very calorically dense, it means that if you have less fat, you're also going to have less calories. So sometimes that can be really advantageous to get like a leaner cut of meat. Whereas like, if you're just going for purely flavor and you want to make like really juicy burgers, you might get like an 80% ground beef. But it's like, okay, well just be careful, because that 80% ground beef is going to have a lot more calories than the 93%, for instance. So it's going to just kind of depend on where you're at and if you're trying to lose weight or what you're trying to do.
Gotcha.
And I see you had the Oura Ring on. A lot of people talk about the Oura Ring. What's like your opinion on it? I've heard good things. I've heard people say it's not worth it. What do you think?
I love the Oura Ring. I have a crazy experience with the Oura Ring. So what had happened to me when I initially got the Oura Ring is I was like, I want to see how I'm sleeping, because I had some issues with daytime energy levels and some of these other things. And I went to track it and I realized that all my metrics were okay. Like they were pretty good. They were in range, except for one. And that was REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement. It's a type of really restorative sleep that you get. And that's when you are dreaming, is during this sleep stage called REM. And the recommendation for people is to have about an hour and a half to 2 hours of REM sleep every single night. I was chronically low. I couldn't get more than like 30 minutes. I was getting like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30, 40 minutes. And I was like, what gives? Like, I'm not doing all these unhealthy things. I'm not like doing all these crazy stimulants or coffee or all this other stuff. I couldn't figure it out. And so that was one thing that like really helped me to identify like what was actually the issue.
What'd you do to fix that?
I did a lot of different things to fix that, but it ended up being a combination of cutting out caffeine and adjusting my food timing. So it's actually not good to eat right before you go to bed. Ideally, for the most optimal sleep, you want to have like 3 to 4 hours before going to bed is like your last thing that you eat, your last calorie. So like in an ideal situation, let's just say it's 3 hours. If you like go to bed at 10, like you're asleep by 10, like don't put anything in your mouth other than water after 7 o'clock.
That's crazy.
That actually helps. I actually slept poorly last night. And one thing I noticed was that I ate way later than I normally do. I ate like an hour before going to bed last night, and it goofed up my sleep.
That's
so there's
crazy.
that. Another really powerful thing you can do is improve your circadian rhythm. So that's like the alignment that you have with your body's like internal clock. So by going outside, getting morning sunlight, and even like things like watching the sunset are really good for that. And that just kind of helps to tell your body at different times, like when to be awake, when to be alert, and then like when to start winding down so you can, have good quality sleep at night.
Yeah. I used to have trouble sleeping. I didn't do any of that, but because I went to the doctor, I was like, I just can't fall asleep. I just can't. And then one thing she told me to do was like only lay in the bed when you're going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Because it trains your mind. So like if you lay in the bed, that means it's time to go to sleep.
Exactly.
And ever since then, I've done that. And that's probably one of the things that helped. But like I only lay in bed if I'm going to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool little sleep trick that you can do is to just basically make sure that you're only associating being in your bed when it's time to go to sleep. So it's really helpful. Some of the best sleep that I've ever had is when I have like an office or a different place to like work in that's separate from my bedroom.
Yeah.
So that I can almost like exclusively, like this is just my sleep room. Like I do nothing in here. Like I wake up, I immediately get out of the room and then I go do work somewhere else to do all this other stuff. And then when it's time to like actually go to sleep, it's like I just go into the room, turn the lights off, and boom, I'm out. It's a heavy association with sleeping.
Heck yeah. So earlier you mentioned you had been traveling during like the beginning stages out of college, and then now you're here in Austin, and then you've been traveling, in Spain prior, Miami prior. What has been like, the experience you've learned from just living nomadically? Like what are the pros and cons? What's all that been like?
Yeah, some huge takeaways I think I've had from traveling would just be that we tend to think that where we grow up, where we live, that this is just how life is. This is how it's supposed to be. This is what's normal. This is et cetera. And it's just not the case. Like that's just not how it is. How life is where you grew up, how life is in your own country is only how you're doing it. It's only how you and your family and your culture is doing it. When you go somewhere else, you realize you're like, whoa, there's this whole other way of living that's just not how we're doing it. But people are still super happy and they're still like totally crushing it in different areas of life. So that's been a really cool takeaway that I've got to learn, or that I've had to learn. Also, another thing is like just learning how other countries truly look at the United States. I think it's really easy to think that a lot of people in the US think that we are the shit, we are the best, no country is better than here, et cetera, yada, yada, yada. And then you go to other places and you think that people might really like you because you're American, or that they're going to resonate with you, et cetera. And a lot of people don't fuck with us. A lot of people think we're the laughing stock of the world and there's a lot of things wrong with us, et cetera. I mean, I've been to plenty of places in the world where I actually felt like very much like I was not welcome being an American, for sure.
That's crazy.
In Spain was one of them.
Was Spain really?
Yeah. Spain,
really?
Unfortunately, I did not get the vibe at all that Spanish people like Americans. Yeah.
What has been like the favorite country, or what's the best country for you that you visited, and then your least favorite?
It's a great question. I think my favorite country that I visited, just based off of pure beauty and everything, was Croatia. Croatia was amazing. The water was so clear, and the buildings were so old, and there's all these cool islands, and then there's these ports with all these yachts, and it's really cool. Croatia is a really cool spot.
Sorry to cut you off, but I was in my head thinking the other day, because I was on Twitter and I saw, because I see like just like a lot of history stuff, and then they're like, there was a bridge in England that is not a bridge anymore, and it used to be a neighborhood on the bridge, but something happened. Okay. But then the post under that was like top 10 structures in the world and whatnot, and I was like, I feel like everybody's infrastructure is so much better than ours. Like just like for like aesthetically looking, I just feel it's just so much better than ours. Like ours is just like skyscrapers and whatnot, but like you go to Europe and like their infrastructure just like it looks old, but it looks good. And then like their hills are just like beautiful.
Their countries are so much older than ours. So by hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah.
They're so much older. So the old architecture and things like that, it's still there. And there's a lot of like rich history there. Whereas when you're in the US and you go over to the East Coast and you go to like somewhere where the first colonies were, you look at like those old buildings and they look old, but they don't look nearly as old as the stuff that you see in Europe, which is... It's cool. It's a vibe. It's
because like when you go to like an Italian restaurant, you'll like see like somebody hanging out the window of like a neighborhood. They have like a rock road with like grout in between it and stuff like that. I'm like, that just looks like way better than us.
It really just depends on what you're into, man. Like it depends if you're into that old like kind of classic architecture and just like the history and just, you know, this big stone buildings and churches and things like that. Some people really like that and they appreciate that. I don't really care for that as much. I think it's cool and I like to appreciate it. But if I'm gonna live somewhere, I want to live in like a modern place with like
I am too.
Nice amenities. Everything's like new. That's one of the things I loved about Scottsdale, especially Scottsdale and then North Scottsdale where I lived. Everything was so clean and it was so new. When you go over to Europe, it's just like, dude, this place is old as fuck. You're like, some of this shit doesn't really work properly. There's like old ass plumbing and just like weird stuff. I'm just like, where are the outlets? Where are this? You know, it's not as convenient. That's one thing America has done
that's
well.
the thing with America is it's very convenient. And I feel like that's another, since it's very convenient and we're so trained to have conveniency, I guess you could say, that's what makes, I feel like that's what makes America, like, I guess you could say lazy.
Totally. I definitely think that it's a blessing and a curse, right? I actually do a lot of things to combat convenience all the time because a lot of the times you'll realize where there's convenience is what allows you to move your body less and just do things that are less healthy overall, right? Like one of the healthiest things for your body in general is like go fucking hunt food, like barefoot and run around. Like you're burning calories, you're eating fresh food. Like that's super healthy. Ordering fucking Uber Eats and taking an elevator everywhere is not fucking good for you.
I was just about to ask, was there Uber Eats over there in, well, I guess not Uber Eats because it's only in Texas, but I guess like DoorDash or Postmates over there?
Yeah, they have that stuff. They have that stuff. Yep. Yeah.
So with like biohacking, you'd mentioned earlier, like you've tried a bunch of different things and I watched a bunch of your videos, primarily like on diets. Like what has been some of the diets that you've enjoyed, and then what are some that you're just like, that's just a fad, or you know, I didn't really get any benefit from that?
Yeah, some of the diets that I really like are animal based. I mainly eat animal based. One of the things I think is best for everyone, which is also animal based, is also this, but it's just eating food that's whole, single ingredient foods for the most part. Like you got to ask yourself, was this food that I'm about to eat, was it around 1,000 years ago? It's a potato, it's an avocado, an egg, a piece of meat, whatever. Like, there's no ingredient list. It's just that thing. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's good. Oh, what am I about to put in my mouth? Well, like, what's it comprised of? Oh, 30 fucking different things, of which half of them I don't even know what they are and can't pronounce them. Probably shouldn't eat that, you know?
Yeah.
So animal-based is great. I don't think there's anything wrong with vegetables. I know a lot of like animal-based and carnivore people will like not eat vegetables. I think vegetables are great. I think they're one of the most studied foods that clearly have a lot of tangible benefits. Carnivore is really restrictive.
Yeah.
It's nice. You feel fucking dialed. You're fucking lean. You're shredded. Your mind is like super clear. You're like dipping in and out of states of ketosis. So it's cool for that reason, but it's so restrictive. It's hard to stick to.
Yeah, it doesn't seem sustainable at all. Like I have a friend that's doing it right now, and he's saying like loves it, feels good, feels dialed like you're saying, but he just says I wouldn't do it long term. Like he's only been doing it for 2 weeks, and I think he's about to stop. So
I had crazy headaches. So I actually made a commitment to myself that I rarely break commitments to myself, but truthfully, I did break this commitment to myself in January. I was going to do the whole month of January for carnivore, and I got like, I think 3 weeks in, 2.5 or 3 weeks in, and I just had headaches. I had like just crazy bad headaches that I could not shake. And I was also sick. So I was sick for like the whole month of January. I was like, I don't know what's good with my immune system or what, but how I was talking about earlier, everyone has different genetic variances, different things that affect people differently. For whatever reason, I just kind of felt like a hard signal to my body. It was just like, yo, dude, like your body does not fuck with this. Like I can eat carnivore but like full strict carnivore, I don't think my body's cool.
What does that diet consist of? Like just straight, if you're on a straight carnivore diet?
It depends. You can do different. Some of it's like literally, some people like just eat steak only, which is just like kind of insane. But like a lot of people who do carnivore will do just like meat, organ meat, and like eggs. Yeah.
Gotcha.
You eat like steak and eggs, ground beef,
Bone broth. I've seen people.
Bone broth, liver.
And why don't y'all recommend it for a long time? Like what's
It's
the
just
reason?
really hard to stick to. It's really tough to like order at restaurants. It's hard to just be disciplined because like, let's be honest, a lot of times we just want to grab something that's convenient. You have to make all of your own food too. And that can be difficult for people. Like you can't really snack. You can't really grab things. There's no convenience really.
Gotcha.
It's just kind of a bitch to stick to be honest.
So do you, because I've heard both, but do you like I guess quote unquote diets, or do you think like people shouldn't be on a diet that's just the way you should be eating in general?
Yeah, I think it's way better to just identify as this is how I eat instead of going on a diet. You know, I think that can become a little bit dangerous if in your head you're like, oh, I'm on a diet, oh, I'm doing this, because then saying I'm on a diet just puts it in your brain of I'm doing something that's outside of my norm, and it's probably just temporary until I get some result, and then I'm going to go back. And I think there's a lot of like baggage associated with saying I'm going on a diet. So I think it's much stronger to just say I'm going to start eating better, and I'm ultimately just going to get to a place where I eat really well, and this is just who I eat. And then you start to self-identify as I am somebody that eats healthy. This is how I eat.
Yeah. What other diets have you been on besides? You said the carnivore.
Yep.
You said, I forgot the other one.
Carnivore, animal-based.
Animal-based.
I've done like paleo. This is kind of like Whole30 paleo, which is kind of that whole like, was this food around thousands of years ago? Like all like whole foods, basically kind of thing.
Have you done vegan?
Yep. Yeah, I did a vegan diet for 7 days. So there's that crazy biohacker guy named Brian Johnson. I don't know if you guys have seen him, but he spends millions of dollars a year to reverse his biological age. And he has a super specific vegan diet. So he chooses to eat vegan, and he has a really specific diet that he eats the exact same thing every single day. And so I wanted to try it as a challenge, and I'd never gone vegan before.
Yeah.
And I just decided to eat a super weird, like niche vegan diet as well. So I stacked both those things on top of each other, made a YouTube video about it. And I did that for a week, and it was really interesting. I had a really fucking crazy experience on the vegan diet, where when I first ate, the first thing that I ate, the first meal, I made this huge bowl. My roommate called it the hot slop, because I took all these beans and all these broccoli and cauliflower and mushrooms, and I put like water, and I put it in a blender, or I boiled it, and then I put it in a blender, and I blended it all up into like this super veggie pudding. So it's like a pudding with all these veggies and beans, and I ate it, and I literally got high after eating. Like I was like halfway to like 3/4 in, and I like ate it, and I was just like, yo, like I feel interesting. Like I feel good right now.
Yeah.
Like what's going on? Like I couldn't stop smiling. I had like this weird like feeling, and like I literally was like, I legitimately feel high right now.
Wow.
And I think it was so many phytochemicals, micronutrients, and things that I wasn't used to getting. All of the like really healthy things that are in vegetables, that I just got like brain blasted with all this stuff, and it's like super good like brain food, and it just put me in like this state of like being high for a little bit.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It was really weird. It was cool though.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you, I'm assuming you don't like agree with people who go 100% vegan?
I think the thing with a vegan diet is that it's also really tough to be optimal, because you can easily miss a lot of key vitamins and proteins and things like that you get from a more diverse diet. So I think you can do it, and I think you can be optimal. I think you just need to be kind of like really focused on it. You might want to be a health freak if you're going to go vegan.
Yeah,
you got to like really know all the stuff.
Because I think there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm vegan, but it's like you can just eat like fried food or like fried potatoes or like fries or like chips, and it's like it's vegan technically, but it's like it's
Right.
not nutritious, you know. So
Right.
Yeah. Did you feel yourself getting as full when you went vegan for that 7 week?
Dude, I was so full. It's crazy because all those vegetables have a lot of fiber, and fiber is one of the things that keeps you the most full and helps you stay satiated. And so I would eat these meals, and I would be so full. That big bowl of super veggie that I ate, that veggie pudding, made me so full. By the last day, I was choking this thing down because it was huge, and it was only like you would only eat like 2 meals a day. It was like 2 big meals. So I got really full. I was surprised.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Earlier, you said you made a YouTube video. What's your focus on content right now? And then what was it like hitting 100K and 15K on Instagram and YouTube? Congratulations on that, by the way, because that's not an easy thing to do on YouTube.
Yeah, thank you, my man. Well, shout out to YouTube Shorts. Quite honestly, I had some short videos that went massively viral, and that was a huge help with YouTube. My focus right now is actually to make more long form videos. And because of what I do with my coaching and the men that I help increase their energy and testosterone, I'm making a lot more videos that are just geared specifically towards that person so that the people that I can provide the most value to can come and they can see those videos that are going to address and solve a lot of their problems. So that's kind of the main focus with YouTube. And yeah, with Instagram, it's been a grind. I actually did some things like really early on in the beginning of my content journey with Instagram. Like part of it was I started my Instagram in a different niche. I was doing like travel content, and I think it actually kind of like damaged my page. And so like my page doesn't really have great organic reach on Instagram. So I am actually starting over.
Oh, nice.
So are you like making a new Instagram?
Yeah, I'm making a new Instagram, starting to post on there. So it's just literally from the ground up. I'm not going to delete the other one or whatever, but I'm just going to build up a fresh one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's going to be another grind.
Yep, exactly. I'm already posting videos daily, so I'm just going to like post daily on that one. I'm already in the flow of like making content, so I'm just going to do that, and then I'll just keep the other one going.
Do you plug it in on your like, I guess, current Instagram?
No. I'm just going to just go fully, from scratch, just fully bootstrapped.
Yeah, fully organic.
Just hyper targeted towards the type of people that I want to view my content and just go, 100% organic. Fresh.
Gotcha. So you mentioned, making content for, your program, which is called the Helix Protocol. And I'd watched your video, and me and you've had discussions about that. And I was telling them it's a good video to watch just to get to know more about like what you do and like what your primary business is. What made you finally decide to be like, okay, I have all this information, I have all this knowledge, now let me apply it, and then let me create this program for people to use, and also just help benefit people with not only their testosterone, but just any levels of advanced productivity that they want.
Yeah, a couple of the things that made me want to get into helping other people with all the health stuff was just the fact that I went through my own struggles and trials and tribulations and trying to solve my own issues. So I relate to that, and it's something that I've just like cared a lot about. And then back to when I was doing the sort of self-discovery to figure out what I was passionate about, I just found that this was the stuff that I was into. This was the stuff that I knew the most about. And so I just felt like, man, I have all this knowledge and I have all this experience from things that I've done. I may as well use that to fuel like a business and to help other people. Because I think I got to a point where I realized that, the whole quote that they say, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. I was like, okay, let me find out something that I really like, and then let me just do it way more and make a business out of it so that I could have that.
He like you said, he did send me the video, but I haven't got a chance to watch it. It's actually in my save later, whatever it's called. I'm actually starting watching more YouTube now. So, What is the Helix Protocol?
Yeah, so it's a customized program and protocol where I coach guys. I teach people how to improve their natural energy, improve their natural testosterone, their body composition, mental clarity, focus, just really, be their peak performance.
How long did it take to like research all that stuff for you felt like confident enough to like talk to him and be like, hey, this is how we can get all these levels up?
Yeah. Well, what was the question? How long
did it take to like research to where you were confident enough to just go and talk to somebody else to be able to coach them and tell them how to get all their levels up?
I would say honestly about About 8 or 9 months was like a lot of research into just a bunch of different things. And I was like hyper specific on researching a lot of this stuff. But a lot of it also came from different parts of my life, different chunks of my life, right? Like a lot of initial research started 3 years ago. And then I have almost 10 years of just like pure fitness knowledge as well from just my own journey and research. Because I started lifting weights like pretty early. I was like 15, 16. I started like hitting the gym. So it's been a culmination. And then the most recent has been like the most aggressive as far as research and stuff.
So like you're doing the Helix protocol, you're starting to impact people, you're starting to, change people's lives. What's been some of like the craziest impact stories or like you've seen, massive progress in people?
Yeah. One of the really interesting things from one of my clients that they saw is that we were doing blood work and we were making sure to optimize different biomarkers, hormones, etc. And he went and did his blood work and then he got it back from his doctor. And his doctor was like, dude, what are you doing? Like your blood work looks like perfect. Like your testosterone is like on the high end of the normal range. It's optimized. And he's just like, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. So that was really cool. That was a really cool thing to see.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
How is it for you just knowing that you get to like help other people out and you hear stories like that to where like what you're doing does work and it's proven to work and then they come back to you like, yo, like I got back from the doctor's office and this is my chart now. Like, thank you so much.
Yeah. It's super rewarding. And it's funny because I like the feeling that I'm getting from helping people more and more as I go on. Like if you would have asked me maybe like 2-3 years ago, like, what do you want to do? I don't know if like I want to help 1 million people do this thing would have been my answer, But now the more that I dive in and the more that I focus on solving people's problems and actually helping them make massive transformations, the more I really enjoy doing that and love to see it.
How do you, I guess, go about like still doing it for you as well and then researching newer stuff to like, I guess you would be the guinea pig since you're researching it, you would try it on yourself first, then putting it into like people's programs.
Yeah. I think the cool thing about that is that because I am truly so interested in this topic already, it doesn't even seem like a chore or something where I have to like research new things. I'll like go and research new things, take new supplements, try new things out, and just base my own curiosity. And then I'll realize afterwards like, oh, whoa, that's so cool that you just did that because now you can teach all your guys about this. Or like now you can bring back the results and show it to these guys. And it was like some of the things I just stumble upon just totally randomly because I'm interested in it. So I think that's one of the things it's so, I guess I'm so lucky for and so rewarding that I did pick something that is passion plus business.
Can you ever have like a perfect body? Is that possible? Not as in like physique look, but like you sleep, all your sleep levels are great. All your blood work's done, all that, all your levels of that are great. Like stuff like that.
You can get pretty close for sure. I would say Brian Johnson guy who's doing the crazy biohacking, he's about as close as you can get. That's actually his whole thing is like, it's not quality of life. It's not necessarily how you look. It's literally just numbers on a screen. Can I measure every single little thing and get it to be the most perfect that I possibly can? So you can get pretty damn close. I think he has like perfect sleep scores.
Is there like science behind it that it does like, obviously it makes you live longer, but like substantially longer?
There's actually not a lot of research that shows that these people who are reversing their biological age are going to live 10 year, 20, 30 years longer than they're supposed to. We don't know yet. Some of the people that are at the forefront of doing that, are doing it right now. They're in the process. What we do have is we're able to study different, what they call blue zones across the world. So blue zones are places in the world where they've identified an abnormally large amount of centenarians or people that live past 100. And they go in there and they start to study and look at and draw patterns from their lifestyle, behavior, diet, all these other things, and then try to like figure out why are they living so long. And almost all of them are completely random and unplanned. It's not like they're biohackers.
I feel like a lot of Asian culture lives a long time.
Yeah, there's some blue zones in Japan. Yep. There's some blue zones in Japan. There's a blue zone off of an island in Greece. There's another one in Sardinia, Italy. There's actually one in California.
The one in Italy, they live the longest. Like right now, statistically, like they have the longest life expectancy.
I'm not sure if they're like the
highest.
highest. I'm not sure if they're the highest. There's a Netflix documentary called Life of the Blue Zones, I think, which is where I learned a lot of this, to be
I'm
honest.
gonna have to watch that.
I think I saw it the other day. Like that place in Italy has like the highest.
Yeah.
I guess whatever life expectancy rate or whatever. Is it just something that they just do differently in that area, or is it?
Yeah. In the blue zones around the world, they do things way differently. So a lot of them are like constantly active, whether that's they don't have cars and things like that to easily get around. They don't have a lot of the convenience. Some of them, they were following them around and they were constantly walking up and down stairs. They were washing their hands washing their clothes by hand. They were sweeping and cleaning up their own little places. They were gardening. They were growing their own food. So you realize that these people are not sitting in a couch watching TV and ordering Uber Eats. They're constantly moving. They're burning calories washing their clothes. They're getting 10,000 steps a day just to get to and from their friend's house or a market. And like these are like 95-year-olds going upstairs and going up steps. So I actually think it's really dangerous for us to say, oh, grandma, don't work too hard, or, oh, it's too hot, don't go outside. It's like if you're constantly operating for convenience and don't stress yourself out, don't, do too much or whatever, you're actually just like putting yourself at a disadvantage.
No, I definitely understand that too, because like my grandparents, they're like close to 90, and they have a farm out in Oklahoma, and they're just always like doing stuff on the farm, walking around. And my dad's like, yeah, they're still very active, like still get around good. And I was like, yeah, that's probably why like they're like, they look healthy and are still like living, because of stuff like that.
A body in motion stays in motion.
Exactly. You got to stop it.
How much time we at?
Okay, cool.
Oh, okay.
All right, so a couple more questions from us. Obviously, we talked about all the healthy and good foods. What are some of the guilty pleasure foods you have?
Man, I would have to say guilty pleasure foods for me. The first thing that came to mind was like a good gourmet cinnamon roll. Like there's a tradition in my family that unfortunately I no longer live at home, shocker. But when I did growing up, we had this really cool family tradition where whoever's birthday it was in the house, everyone else would like prepare the presents. And in the morning, before the one person whose birthday it was got up, we would prepare like cinnamon rolls and heat them up. And they were like really like good gourmet with like the cream cheese frosting. And we would go and we would wake up the person whose birthday it was with happy birthday. So that's like we're singing happy birthday with the cinnamon rolls and with the presents, and we'd bring like a tray to their bed. So really cool, like wholesome little family tradition. But there were some times where like that was just like that was the pinnacle.
Yeah,
that was the best.
I feel like it's like a lot of nostalgia and a lot of like, it's a cinnamon roll. We can't go wrong with the cinnamon roll.
Yeah,
they're good.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. I'm trying to think of other things. I mean, I love dark chocolate. That's not really like, it's not really that bad. I think dark chocolate's actually really good for you. But maybe some like barbecue. I've like, when I've like come here to visit Texas, I've like just gone and be like, yo, let's fucking rip some barbecue.
Yeah.
Barbecue's dangerous. Like, once you eat barbecue,
so good.
you're done for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You're done. It weighs you down so much.
All the sides, and you get like, the desserts. Like it's really, really unhealthy, but it's super good.
And you're just slumped for the rest of the day. So
Or cookie dough. Have you ever seen those places where they serve cookie dough, raw cookie dough instead of ice cream? It like looks like an ice cream shop. You can get a cone, you can get a cup. They have them in like Vegas, other places, and they literally just serve you straight. That's just fire.
There's a place that used to be open called Logan's Roadhouse. I'm sure you've seen Texas Roadhouse. There's another one called Logan's Roadhouse.
Okay. Yep.
For your birthday. That's what they would bring you, is like a little thing of like cookie dough.
Ooh,
yeah.
I gotta hit that. That made me think of another guilty pleasure, which is Pizookie. Pizza cookie.
Oh, so good. So good. I used to get those all the time from BJ's. Like, just get them for like $6-7. Like,
yeah, those are fire. I mean, it's just a chocolate chip cookie with some ice cream and a brown. Like,
Fire.
you can't go wrong.
You cannot go wrong with that.
No.
So I think the 80-20 rule is important for sure.
absolutely. Everything in moderation.
I'm big into that. For me, obviously, because of who I am and what I do, it ends up being more like a 95-5 rule for me, where I'm like strict about my diet, eating super clean most of the time. That's honestly just how I prefer, and like it's just how I feel best.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely not a weirdo that doesn't ever have a cheat meal or like have dessert. Like I think it's good to have that balance.
When you're on vacation, do you kind of like not let yourself get away, but you kind of go rogue?
Yeah. Certain times for sure.
Yeah.
Like I went to Colombia last summer, and I was just like, you know what? When you're in Colombia for this week, just do whatever you want to do, eat as much as you want, whatever. And that's actually really dangerous for me because I have a fucking mean appetite. Like, I know you might see me like, you know, doing cardio and like looking lean, whatever, but like everything in my body, my DNA wants me to be just massively obese. Like, I have such an appetite. I can eat so fucking much. And I just have to aggressively combat that every single day. But I was in Colombia and I was like, yeah, I'm off my diet. And like when that just like part of my brain was like, oh, you're good, you're off your diet, it was just like fucking eat everything.
Have you been to like
Completely
Fogo
out
to
the
shower or
window.
anything?
Yes, I have.
Do you go crazy there?
Yeah, I need to go back there. The last time I left Fogo de Chao, I left incredibly uncomfortable. I was uncomfortably full.
Yeah. That button on the pants.
That shit's crazy.
I think we've all been there once.
Yeah.
Last thing from us, just what some of your goals you have for 2024.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, a big goal that I have for 2024 is number one, to find the next city that I want to set down in. So actually get a lease on an apartment or a house, and then really have set up a really good either studio or office or just a really good work setup where I can have, you know, a nice microphone, a camera that's always pointed at me, and just really make the whole process of delivering what I have to deliver, making content, and just being the best business owner, content creator that I can be, and like make that really easy. Another goal that I have is to just grow my business more, honestly, just grow my business and start to build a team so that I can start to remove myself from a lot of the like day-to-day, like small operations. So I can really just kind of like work on the business in the long term versus like just kind of being in the weeds, you know?
Well, I hope you found your city that you like, because it's a beautiful city, a lot of beautiful people, dope people. I mean,
Austin's great.
You look around and there's a group for everybody for sure.
There's lots of people outside working out. Like it's great.
And
good food here.
I'm a gamer, and like this is one of the biggest. A lot of content creators come here for gaming just because the internet, like you said, the Mile Run Club with Matt Choi, like all those people. I mean, you got the collective that does the monthly free workout or whatever.
Yeah, the community workouts.
Yeah, so I mean, there's something for everybody here.
I've never seen such a emphasis on community. The way that Austin just places such a huge emphasis on let's do stuff, let's hang out with people that we want to do, let's be wholesome, let's go work out, let's really focus and put energy and time into building a community. It's unmatched.
Yeah, that's what makes Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bert, now's the time if you have questions, sir.
All right. So earlier you had mentioned the red light therapy on your balls as a guy.
Yeah.
What are some crazy, like, very unorthodox biohacking methods that you've seen? Like, for example, I saw this one where they were talking about tanning your butthole. That like, it's like super beneficial to like tan your butthole.
Interesting.
I've not gone down that rabbit hole super deep with the butthole tanning. I've not tanned my butthole actually before. I have sunned my balls though. Like I was in Miami for like a month and a half, and I had this like really nice balcony where I would just like sit outside and the sun was like perfectly there, and I would just whip the junk out, let the sun hit it. Very chill. And I think that's it's kind of similar to what red light does, because you get some similar red light rays from the sun. But that's pretty interesting. Icing your balls to increase testosterone. So you can actually do that. Icing your balls a couple different times a day. Your balls are supposed to be colder than the rest of your body, which is part of the reason your balls sit outside of your body. So you can do that. I think peptides are really interesting too. So there's a few different peptides that people use that are pretty interesting. One of the weirdest ones is called melanotan 2, and it literally makes your skin more tan. So you can like inject it, and then you go outside in the sun, you get way more tan, way faster, and it lasts for longer. And there's two somewhat, you might say, like unintended side effects or consequences of taking melanotan 2. And one of them is appetite suppression, and the other one is an increased sex drive and erections. So it's like this one peptide, you get tan, jacked, and horny.
That's crazy.
Or tan, you diet easier, and then horny.
Yeah. I'm assuming the sun with the butthole and the balls is just because how much vitamins and stuff you get from the sun. Is that why it's good for you?
You know, that's a great question. I'm not sure. I think just the way that maybe those areas are super sensitive because they don't ever see the sun. I think maybe one thing is that, like, I mean, at our core, we are just animals that should be naked most of the time and not have clothes on, right? Mm-hmm. So I think just every part of your body seeing the sun how it should is like, that's how it should be, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Are you opposed to tanning your butthole or just?
I'm not. It's just difficult to find an area and a location and a time at which like tanning your butthole like really makes sense. I have a hard time even finding a spot to like tan my balls or like sun my balls.
Do you think that you can alter genetics, or do you think they're just kind of like set? Like,
yeah,
for the most part.
You can totally alter your genetics. There's actually an entire study of that, which is called epigenetics. So genetics is basically the things that are written into your DNA code. And then epigenetics is how different lifestyle factors and your environment can turn on and off different genes. So you can actually affect different things.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
And if you could live comfortably to a certain age to where you can still wipe your own ass, nobody has to take care of you, what age would you want to live to?
If I could still do everything that I wanted to do, I'd probably say like 120 or 130. I have a weird feeling that past that is like you're just gonna be like, I'm good. We've done enough.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here. You know? I would almost feel like, not that this wouldn't be the case, but he would like outlive everyone else, and then like everyone that you knew would like die.
Yeah.
And it's just like kind of weird for you to like go make friends with like a 50-year-old who's like 70 years younger than you.
Yeah.
It's funny you brought that up because AJ just asked that question. Like, how old do you want to like live till? And then my answer is nowhere close to that answer.
Okay.
My answer was like between like 75 and like 85. That
Really?
was my answer. Cause it's like, I mean, you're at that point, it's like I've already done everything that I probably wanted to do and whatnot. So
Yeah.
like you said, everyone you do know, besides like, I guess your kids and your grandkids are kind of just dying off at that point just because of age and or other factors. But I said like 75 to like 85.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Probably in my 90s, 90 to 100.
Yeah.
I think once you get to like 90, you just want to like, you know, you want to get to 100. It'd just be cool. It's like, yeah, like my grandpa, like, it's like, hey, Cam lived to 100, you know? It's like, I don't know. Probably around there. I've never really thought about it though, you know?
I didn't think about it until he asked me. I was like,
What about you, Bert?
Yeah, what about you?
I'd probably say I'm cool with 100.
Okay.
At most 105.
Yeah.
Like, just to see, like, because we think about how drastic, like, I mean, we grew up in a time where like the internet was barely starting, so to
Right.
speak. Like,
Yeah, no,
from
for
now
sure.
to where the internet's now. So I think it'd be cool to see the progression of society after
And just technology
100,
too.
105
Could be
years.
wrong, but I feel like our generation is like the best generation like grow up in. Like the amount of stuff that we've seen and like is like that we're continuing to see and we're still young.
Evolution.
Is just crazy.
Nah, dude, the 80s. I would want to live through the 80s.
I'm with Bert.
Yeah, I
would
like
say
the 80s
for
too.
sure.
Yeah,
It's
the
just
80s are
like
dope.
everybody was just living, vibing, having a great time. And I think
Well,
the
not
80s would
just
be
like I'm just saying like everything that we've like seen. Like we got to see the internet, we got to see like just all the stuff that we've like lived through and like seen. Like
Yep.
it wasn't cool to see COVID, but like we saw COVID or we saw like
Yeah.
it's just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
That's fair. As far as like you being a firm believer in doing everything like pretty much naturally and your resources that you have,
Yep.
how do you feel about like PEDs, like steroids? Are you against it? Are you like cool, or are you kind of indifferent about it?
No, I'm for it. Like, I think it's cool. I think I'm someone that likes to experiment. I like to look at. I'm not anti-drug. I'm not anti-anything. I think pretty much everything has a utility. I view every drug, substance, herb, whatever, like it's basically like a tool, right? Like it's a tool that you can choose to keep in your tool belt. I think ultimately a lot of even like harder drugs or like, you know, big anabolic steroids, like they have a specific use and a purpose. Like sometimes it's super appropriate. And so, yeah, I like experimenting, and I don't think there's anything wrong with a perfectly able adult, you know, experimenting with whatever they want to experiment with, trying to optimize their body and their life.
There's a competition going on. Heard it on the Optic podcast, but like somebody's throwing an event where like everyone can take steroids and get as jacked as you can and be as strong as you can.
Yeah.
And you have to like compete in these different events.
That's interesting. I actually heard that they would maybe do another Olympics where they would have like
it's like that, but for steroids.
Dude, I'm so for it. I want to see somebody crush a baseball. Like I want to see them hit a baseball.
I played baseball,
and it just disintegrates. Like that's how hard I want to see someone hit a baseball.
Or UFC. I think they were thinking about doing like one where they drug test and then one where they don't, and then just let people just go crazy with PEDs.
See, I think that's a bit. I feel like contact sports is very dangerous, just because you really will kill somebody if you.
You can already kill them without.
You can.
But I feel like as far as like somebody throwing a shot put discus, I want to see somebody launch that thing. Like, But I feel like contact
Javelin
sports
throw.
gets So you know.
Yeah.
Because they get it's in one of his questions later, but I feel like there's already people that are just genetically stronger than people.
Yeah.
So like we'll just say like I don't know how much you watch fighting, but the day before the UFC fight was Anthony Johnson and Francis Ngannou.
Okay.
And Francis Ngannou was known to be like the baddest man on the planet, the hardest puncher, and all this and that. And then you have Anthony Joshua was a boxer, and he just knocks Francis Ngannou out. I'm not saying that he's stronger than him, but he clearly could be.
Yeah.
But for someone like Francis Ngannou, who's known to have the hardest punch in the world, and then him start taking steroids, it's like you can only get some people are just he's gonna be stronger than me because he probably just genetically, not saying that's just true, but he can be stronger than me because he's genetically stronger, and then he can be stronger than him just because he's genetically stronger.
Right.
But I feel like you can only do so much. And like when it comes to contact sport and you are taking steroids, like I can only get here and he can be here because of genetics.
Is Francis Ngannou, was he on steroids? Is that how he got the strongest punch?
No, he's just naturally. He was a homeless man in Africa, and I don't know how they found him, but he's just like naturally just ripped.
Yeah, I think they compared his punch to like getting hit by a Ford Focus at like 20 miles per hour or like 30 miles per hour. Like
wow.
Yeah, but no, he's not on
like
steroids.
So yeah, in contact sports, I think that's
where you draw the line.
Well, I think again, like if they're allowing it, or if they're allowing people to like play on a level playing field, like hey, if you want to be involved in this, if you're an adult male who isn't brain dead or isn't mentally retarded or something, you can make your own decision, and you want to opt in and say, yeah, that's a big fella,
and that's him. That's how he is. Like that's just how he walks around regular.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to opt into that and you accept the fight against that guy and you die, like that's.
You understand?
That's on you. You were on steroids. He's on steroids. Like that's fine. I think what's not okay though is that when you are hiding it or you're using it as an advantage when like other people aren't or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like not to go down this rabbit hole, but when you like say you're a girl to like beat everybody else in a competition when you're really a dude.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
And that's starting to get banned a lot too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the last question I really have is what separates you as a coach, and like for people who are on the fence and who have come across your page, like what separates you so that way you can help these people?
Yeah, I think what separates me mainly is the fact that I take such a data-driven approach. I like to track a lot of different biomarkers and really do like a deep dive to establish like a baseline of where people are at before they start working with me. So I get an understanding of like where are your hormones, do you have like nutrient deficiencies, do you have all this other stuff? And then we can like really dive deep into optimizing all these other areas of life, because with health, it's not just what do I do in the gym and like, do I hit my calories or my macros or whatever? It's like so many other things, like sourcing of the food. Okay, sure, you're sleeping 8 hours, but like, are you getting REM? I was sleeping 8 hours and I was chronically deficient in REM sleep. Like something was clearly wrong, and I would not have known that had I not like done the deep dive. So it just allows someone who's already like me, who's already done the deep dive, to just like, I've already done all this stuff and I've already figured it out. So let me just like do it for you, and we can help you become your best.
Did you not want to ask the genetics one?
He kind of answered it. The first one where
Okay.
I had one more question.
Yeah.
Because I've seen like, people like to cold plunge. I like to cold plunge. But I was watching this video of like this Russian guy. He's been doing it for like, I don't know, like over a year, and like breaking the ice and like getting in, and like he like will do like these little reels where he talks to the camera and stuff. But like everyone in the comments is like, oh, this is so stupid, or like women shouldn't cold plunge because of like their body parts and their DNA.
Yeah.
Like I'm curious, like what do you think about like people that are kind of like against the grain when it comes to that, like cold plunging and stuff?
I just started seeing people kind of going against cold plunging and things like that. I definitely, that's an interesting one, because part of me is like, getting in cold water is not really something that is like natural. Like, sure, if we're, as humans living across the land and we're like trying to go to another location, we might have to cross a freezing river, but like, how often? Like how long are you really in there? Is that something that you should be doing all the time? I don't know. Clearly there are benefits to doing it. We can clearly measure the reduction in inflammation, the way that our muscles repair faster and things like that. But it doesn't seem like the other things, like getting sunlight, eating good quality food, doesn't seem like one of those things that was like necessary or that like we had to do to survive. So
I know like in Russia, that's like a common thing. Like even kids do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the resilience is good. Doing it to like build not only the mental discipline, but to also put your body in moments of shock or moments of, hyper intense temperatures to just make yourself more resilient. Almost kind of just like how when you walk barefoot all the time, your feet build up a tolerance to getting, calloused and blisters and things like that. I think doing those types of things just to make yourself stronger, improve your immune system, I think those are great. I'd probably, on some of the things I've been seeing recently and giving it a second thought, I'd probably say that daily cold plunging is like, it's probably not optimal. That's probably not the best thing to do. Especially if it's like really fucking cold.
Yeah. That's definitely how I
like
feel
Joe
about
Rogan.
it.
I think they were saying like his is like really cold.
Yeah, and he has like ripples and like the whirlpool going, because like when you get in it and you just it's cold, but if you like don't move, you get used to it. Your body like it makes like a heat shield, but his will like constantly have the water moving, so it's just cold as fuck the whole time.
There's a guy, Carnivore Aurelius, who has a page, and he's super into a lot of this health stuff, and he actually made a post recently that I think went really viral, shitting on cold plunging. And he was basically talking about how if you're cold plunging every day, it's like this really aggressive shock to your body that like your body doesn't know the difference between, like your body doesn't know that you're in some spa in LA and a cold plunge. Your body thinks that you like just fucking fell into like a freezing cold water, or like fell off of a boat and like on the Titanic, like where it goes into this like crazy like fight or flight or whatever, that kind of like mode. So he was saying that it's like not good to do every day. Who knows?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was just curious what you thought, because I've been seeing some stuff.
Yeah, more research to come. I'm excited to see on that one, because I love to cold plunge. It's great.
My last question, I guess this will help more users at home, but have you slept with like an Apple Watch and the Oura Ring to like see what the biggest difference, like if the Oura Ring is better or the Apple Watch is better?
No, I've never really used an Apple Watch. I've never really liked Apple Watches. I never really like wanted one, and so I've never used it. But from friends and other experience that I've had with people, I think the Apple Watch is a very poor fitness tracker. I think it's great to do other things, and another great Apple product, but I don't think it's a contender when it comes to fitness.
So what about do you have like a Whoop, or have you used a Whoop band?
I've not used a Whoop either.
Okay.
I want to test out a Whoop because I know that one's really popular. I've used a Fitbit. I liked the Fitbit. I've used the Oura Ring. The Whoop, I don't believe tracks your steps, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it tracks a ton of stuff like stress, like all this other stuff. But
yeah, like I think it like internally tracks steps and activity to give you like an activity recovery score. But it doesn't like tell you. And that's one of the things that I really like about trackers is not necessarily to like obsess about the numbers, but to just get a baseline of like, oh, like where am I at? Oh, I only took 3,000 steps today. Like I need to go on a walk, get some more activity in.
And maybe this is why Apple's doing it. So Apple likes to make their money, but they're making a ring. And I wonder if people like know that their watches aren't like great for fitness. So like, oh, let's make a ring to make them buy the ring. And it just obviously it syncs with everything else, but Apple's making a ring.
Really?
Yeah.
You told me that the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, is it just purely a fitness tracker? Like, is it just supposed
to be like that?
Ooh. Or is probably shaking in their boots right now.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like that. It's a solid band. I think it's white, and all I saw was the white one. I don't know if they're coming out with other colors or if that even is the color, but it's just a white like band, and it's supposed to like track everything just like that.
Wow. I'm excited to see what that is then.
Yeah.
I'm a big
I think that'd be a cool
Apple
video
user.
for you to make as far as like comparing the two for a week or.
Yeah, I should do that. I should be on the forefront. I got to find somebody at Apple, try to get one before everyone else does. So I can be the first
You can
to
always
video.
return it too.
Exactly.
I just sent him a video the other day of this. I like fishing, and I watched this guy named John B.
Okay.
And he wore the Apple Vision Pro while fishing. And I sent to him. He was like, "Yeah," because he already saw it. And he was like, "Yeah," and he just went and returned it too.
Those are crazy. I've not dove into those yet.
I don't
Those
know
are
if I
nuts.
will.
Yeah, I don't think I would. That's too much for me.
Yeah,
like
it's
I
a little
need to
much.
experience life. Like nah.
Because that's going back to the conveniency of like, you have everything here. Why do I need to go anywhere? Like I can text from here. I can watch TV from here. I can look at Twitter or Instagram or whatever from here. Like I can do so much stuff from here. Go on the internet from here. Why do I need to do anything? That's the conveniency of like what makes America lazy.
It'll be interesting to see where things go with virtual reality and Apple Vision Pros and other types of things like that, because there's a decent amount of people, just like you guys are saying, that I think are really pretty hesitant to it and might just like, it's almost like we're not ready for it yet, but it's already here to where some people are just like, nah, But then we've seen other things in technology, like the iPhone, for example, where it's just like, this is the fucking shit.
Yeah.
Mass adoption immediately. And it like completely changes the world. But like, bro, VR's like been out for a while. AR, augmented reality's like been out for a while. And like, we're not all using it yet. I think a lot of people are like scared and like I'm not trying to do this.
Yeah.
They patented the Apple Vision Pro back in 2007.
Wow.
Yeah.
Going back to your thing about the 80s, there is something so like just refreshing and I feel like so cool about living in a time where there's just none of that. Like you don't have a phone in your pocket. You don't know what time you're supposed to be back. Like you're skateboarding, you're running around the neighborhood, you're chasing girls, like just
The TV's still freshly
You can
new. It
actually
came out
talk
in
to
the 60s, but like the TV, like not everybody had a TV either.
you
And
actually
can
know how to communicate to people and
Yeah.
girls and you don't even know what Tinder is.
Yeah. Not just DMing them on Instagram and like
Yeah, because I told my girlfriend the other day, because we went back to like, remember when we first met? I was like, aren't you glad I didn't ask for your Snapchat? Because that's like the other big thing is like, what's your Snapchat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think the 80s was so influential to like, I mean, even like pop culture now, just everything. I mean, we're talking about music.
Music
the
is
other day,
fire.
Like the massive adoption of synthesizers in music, like because of the 80s, like dude, like we have a lot of the music we have now. I just think the 80s and 90s would be super cool to live through.
I agree. I think that period of time was a nice period of time because you had a lot of the really basic needs covered and conveniences. Like you had cars, like there was like TVs, there was other things, but you didn't have all the other things like social media and iPhones and like too much massive convenience that came with a lot of the like negative downsides.
Dude, the amount of overconsumption we have now just in like our daily lives is overwhelming sometimes. Like social media, food. I mean, like,
Oh yeah.
dude, it's crazy. So yeah, I'm with you.
For sure.
I mean, that's kind of it from us.
Yeah.
I mean, this was great. It was a great pod. It was dope meeting you.
Thanks
Thank you.
blast. Thanks for
You
having me,
said
guys.
take your time out your day. Before we hit this off, do you have anything, shout out you want to give or anything for us?
What was that?
I said before we hit this off, do you have any shout outs you want to give or anything for us?
No, I think that's it. Pretty good. I mean, you can find me on Instagram at Cooper Page. YouTube is Cooper Page X. That's where I'm at. That's where you can find me if you want to connect.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Before we hit this off, do you have any last words? No, sir. All good.
No, thank you, man. Just good to, stay in touch and, continue to connect. It's been great to just see. I remember when I first met you and you were like kind of setting out your goals and your metrics, and to see you actually fulfill that and hit that. And now you're striving to do other things. And then hopefully, we convince you to stay here in Austin and continue to connect and develop a friendship. But yeah, man, it was good to see you again. And thank you for stopping by. It was fun.
Sure. Like you said, hope to see you in the city long term.
Yeah.
This won't be the first. This won't be the last. So, like I said, it was dope talking to you. It was dope meeting you. I appreciate you taking time out your day. We'll have everything in the description below so everybody can follow you. Send us your newer Instagram so I can plug that one.
Okay.
Since you're starting that one from fresh as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
That'll do it for my boys over here at Opinionated. We'll catch y'all guys next time. Peace.
Bye, guys.